Hey, good evening everyone. Welcome to another Ruby Basics. In fact, this is Ruby Basics 15, and against our Trello board, which we've got up here, it is the Part 1 Basics Wrap-Up. You'll know that from, scroll across, from the videos that we have up on the playlist, we've covered most of the really basics so far. And let's have a look at the playlist here. So we've gone from installation and setup, getting some basic user input, how we acquire data from the user, and there are different ways, as we saw when we looked at the different categories and scopes of variables. What do we do from there? Instance and class variables as well, going into constants, a kind of variable, if that makes sense. I'm sure it does if you've watched these videos. Going into arrays, which is a way to store collections of data or present collections of data to the program that we're writing. And then looking at control flows, so case statements, if statements, nested if statements, not so complex. They can get complex, but please don't make them overly complex. And then into the if ternary, a very succinct way of doing a pretty basic if statement. Until and while, the kind of reverse of each other, but very useful. Certainly as you can have while or untils outside of your overall script, for example, is always one way they've been used. And then adding and removing data from arrays. So we've started to move now into the slightly more advanced basic stuff, if you can work with that analogy. But what I thought would be useful is to put a script together that covers all of these, and it will be a very construed type of script. It won't be a very good example of how you would engineer a script, but it will show you in some way all of these in play. So without further ado, this is the script that I've put together, and let me just move that to the middle. I think hopefully that will be big enough and clear. Again, as always with these, because it's text, do look at this full screen just to make sure. So let's start. What I've done here, every time I've used something in the script, I've tried to refer to the video that it gets introduced. So here 2 and 5, getting user input, local variables. So here we are, we have a local variable, and we're getting sorry, it's together, isn't it? A local variable which stores the output, if that's correct, of whatever the user types in, the value of whatever the user types in. So what we've been doing in this initial basic series, again, just to remind you, we are going on to cover some other, what I would consider to be basics. It's always a very arbitrary split between basics and intermediate advanced, but we'll go on to do some of the other basics in these next two lots of videos. And what we've been trying to do here is introduce extra elements. So where we've got user first name equals, okay, so now we're going to get some data, but then we call a method on it, which is chomp, and another method, which is to downcase. So what we're doing here is not only introducing a way to get user input as per the video, but then starting to introduce different methods that we can call on that particular item here, which in this case is gets. And in fact, we've got gets downcase and we've got gets capitalize. So instantly we see there is a way to, again, in a possibly construed way, it might not be like this in real life, a way to use the different methods that are available to us. And as always, I would recommend that you go to the Ruby docs and always look up something. So for example, we could, what do we have, chomp? Just go and check them on Ruby docs. Plug it in, see what it comes up with. It will always come up with the different versions of Ruby. So here we are, Ruby 187, Ruby 2. Okay, there's 193. Interesting. I was going to say 193, but I'm not seeing it properly there. Not a problem. So you would zip to, okay, so it's part of the string class. Let's scroll down. And did I just see it there? Yep. Where are you? Chomp. We'll come on to these with exclamation marks as we go ahead. But here is chomp. Okay, so hello.chomp. Okay, so that's just like the one we've been using, and there was a hang on, where are we? There we are. Here's the. Oh no, hang on. What am I doing? There's a method. Crikey. Here is D. Oh my God, I'm struggling tonight. Here's downcase. Okay. So downcase the contents of the string. Fine. Okay. You get the idea. Hit the Ruby docs and see what's what. Oh, sorry. I did just want to say, always check the examples. These are not always massively clear, to be honest, but just play with it and see what happens. That's the best advice I can give you. So fine. So in videos 2 and 5, let's go back to the Ruby Basic list here, just to remind ourselves. In 2 and 5, what did we do? We got user input and local variables. So this was a quick introduction to variables and variable category and scope. Clearly not presented in here, or they are in a roundabout kind of way, hence I've not made a reference to it. So we go, hey, welcome, what's your first name? And because I've put down below some logic based on these names, I've suggested you put Dave, Allen, or your name, right? And something will happen. There is a certain path that the program will follow given this input. Again, you know, it's a bit of a forced example, but we just want to come up with an example for each of these things. So it goes, hi, and then this is interpolation, remember. Now, interpolation of whatever the value of this variable is, user first name, so it will go, hi, Dave, and dot capitalize. So the interesting thing here is we've done interpolation, which would have been, you know, ordinary interpolation would have been the angle brackets just closing this off, obviously always preceded by the hash here. But what we've in fact done is then called a method on it, because of course the content in user first name, in the user first name local variable, is a string, and if we can call methods on it, you know, when we originally get it, we can do when we use it again. So that's a good little trick as well to remember. So maybe down here I would chomp and downcase this, but perhaps I'd just chomp it and not downcase it, because then I decide what I want to do with it when I actually use it. And in fact, there is here we are, puts user first name capitalize, for example. Right? So there are ways in that we would want to do it. In fact, I've just realised it's exactly the same example. I think there's one further down. We'll come on to it. Okay, so very quickly, we've already covered quite a bit here. How to put a question to the screen, declare a local variable, get a value, modify it using these string methods, and then use the value of that local variable in an interpolation here. Which is obviously embedded within a string that we're putting to the screen, and then getting another local variable called user last name and doing something slightly different to it. So already within 4 lines of code we've got 4 or 5 different things going on there, so pretty cool. Okay, so let's create an example global variable. So in video 6 we go on to global variables, and here we have a global variable. And I think in the video I gave an example of, you know, an adventurer's name that you would use throughout the game. And so likewise here, if this is an application, say a HR application, where we're gathering data about a certain employee, that employee's name needs to be used throughout the program. So let's make it a global variable. And in Aptana Studio here, as in most IDEs, you know, we're getting a different text highlighting because it's a different type of thing. And in fact, just for out of interest, here we are. So we've got a global variable, user age, where user age is a constant but a kind of variable, as I said before, and so on, right? So we've got them down here, so we should have local variables, etc., right? So I'm trying to keep track of where I am. Okay, so we get a global text of these. Okay, so global text is username is. Username is. So what I've said here is I don't want to keep typing username is, or you know, whatever information here that you might have. Thank you for using the, you know, welcome to the system. You could have that as a global name and global text and reuse it. You could also put this in a variable, or you could have other methods. We haven't covered other methods yet. Sorry, you could have it in an array, couldn't you? And just index into it. So this could be global text, you know, 1 for example. Could be that text showing there if that were an array. Okay, so we've had a look at a global. Now we do an instance variable, and you remember the instance variable has the ampersand on the front, not the dollar. Dollar is global, ampersand is instance. User full name, so user first name. So we pull in this local variable dot upcase. Okay, that's not capitalized. Upcase is again another one, so we've got downcase, capitalize, upcase, and we'll see the effect of that, but it's basically everything is upcase like this, plus a space, and another method of concatenation. If you read around, so what we do is we can then concatenate the last name. So we're basically going first name, all in uppercase, and a space, then the last name. But we've got two methods here, approaches to concatenating text. Now, if you concatenate a lot of text, you will find this double, what is that? Is that the left? I'm not sure if this is a right or left, but the double chevron here is faster than the plus. Apparently this does concatenation kind of in situ, and this creates a temporary value in memory, I believe. I'd certainly want to recheck that, but the point is, if you are doing masses of text concatenation, maybe drawing from multiple arrays of databases, etc., and pulling data together, investigate using this. Have a play with that. It does exactly the same thing apparently, but under the covers it does a little bit more. Okay, so we get an instance variable of user full name, which is mark all in uppercase, space, Growler, for example. User last name is capitalized, so it would have an uppercase letter irrespective of how I typed it in. We can test that later. Okay, so we've got the username, we've created a user full name, and we've defined a global variable with some text in. Okay, also easy stuff so far. And that was, let's see, video 7 for instance variables. Let's have a look. Yep. And then we come into looking at a constant. So first of all, we again do some interpolation. User first name is capitalized. User first name, if we saw that we were user first name capitalizing, let's see, we've done that twice now. When we actually get the user first name, we might just want to capitalize that. It depends what we intend to do with it later, but this flexibility is good. How old are you? Right, so capitalize and ask how old are you. So we get the user age. This is going to be a constant. User ages are not constant, but allow me that. It's just an example. We get chomps. We get chomp, and we've not covered doing things like to integer, to string, so we'll leave that off here. But go and have a look at the Ruby docs and look at to_dot. Investigate that one yourself. A little bit of homework there. We could do that, and you will see why that makes sense. So then we go where we put the global name text, that we made there, plus user full name. So it would say username is user full name. User full name is first name in full block capitals, and then last name. Okay, yeah, fair enough. So that was video 8, right? Constants. Oh, this should be video 9, shouldn't it? Oh, have we already done an array? Okay, I've left something off there. I think that should be video 9 for arrays. So we do a basic array. Nothing too clever here. In the arrays video, obviously we cover off the different ways that you can structure arrays. Yep, so have a look over that, and we looked at things like, if you remember, delimited input, %w lowercase, %w uppercase, for example. Here we're just going with a basic array. We've got an array called roles array, and it has the roles of developer or tester. Fine. Then we drop into, I've not put the things here, let me do that now. So video 10. Okay, so on video 10 we then go and look at case statements. Alright, and so now we're getting into doing stuff with the input that we've got and the different methods that we've been exploring. This is where it gets a bit more interesting now, doesn't it? So let's have a look. So we go case, user first name. Aha, alright, so the case statement is using user first name, which is here, so get jumps down case, well fine. And I said up here, hey, whisper, whisper, you can put Dave or Alan or your own, so that's what you would have done. So when it's Dave, when it's Alan, and that's interesting, so Dave is all lowercase. Okay, so first name, okay, I see why we've done downcase then, and we've chosen to capitalize it twice down here because we get, hang on, there was 2 examples, capitalize, capitalize. When we get to the case statement, we want lowercase Dave, but we saw before if you remember, how we can use things like this to get around restrictions like this, instead of having to go Dave lowercase, Dave uppercase, or some random spelling of Dave. So here we go. When Dave, all lowercase in this case, puts interpolation, user first name capitalized again. Yep, this is going to be a fourth example. I would probably put user first name as lowercase, maybe make a temporary variable or modify this with one of the string methods, just so in this case it goes Dave, and I mean lowercase Dave just for ease. Puts user first name capitalized, Dave, you are a user age. Okay, so here we pull in our constant, again interpolated in the text. Year old, roles array 0. Okay, very construed, because here we're just fixing the fact that Dave is a what? Roles array 0, a developer. Somewhere we should have a way to go, a way to have kind of variably Dave, by the way, is a developer, and not fix this, right? Because this is going to break so easy. We ever change this table, and we've got more of these in our example. Remember, this is a bad example, but work with me. We would completely break our code. We'd be pulling up people's names, and they'd be all sorts of manner of roles. So what we would want is some kind of way to maybe say, Dave is a dev, and guess what? Later on, we will start to come onto those things. So fret not. In our example, we're going to fix this in place, just so we can show how we index into an array. So fine. So user role equals roles array 0. Interesting. Okay, well let's have a look at that. Roles array 0 and user role. So we fixed the user role to be roles array 0. Okay, maybe something will be explained a little later on. A comment in there would be good. You'll notice I'm commenting anyway, but if I was reading this code, I'd probably at this point go, what is that about? Let's have a look. If it's Alan, then I see it's all the same, except now it's software tester. Well, okay, just tester. Fine. And then we always terminate with an else. Puts, you must be a new member of staff because your name isn't in this pretend database of users. That's, okay, a little bit of a false example, but that's fine. So that's the case statement. Case statements are, when it's a certain something value applied to this thing that we're evaluating a cases of, then go do some stuff. Okay, and this, as we could see later when we cover it in the basics 2 series videos, could be calling methods, classes, etc. Right? So here we're just hard coding some script lines. And end. Okay, so that's our case statement. So that's pretty straightforward. So as we saw up here, if it's Dave, Alan, or somebody else, Dave will be a role 0, a dev, and Alan will be a roles array 1, which will be tester. Fine, okay, so let's zip on. Right. Here we use a nested if, or video 12. Nested if, video 12. Okay. I don't see... Okay, so a basic if. Hey, you get the idea. A basic if would be video 11. Let me just throw that in there just for reference. Okay, video 11. Okay, video 11. Okay, so that's an if statement. And here we've used some different examples of how we evaluate input. So, if career change is something like blah, 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 yes or y, how we saw that, so we can cover off what people actually put in. So here we're saying you can put yes or y or n or no. Then Dave, and, okay, so do you want to change your career? Yes, okay. Are you Dave? Yes. So switch Dave around. Aha, so Dave was... I see where we might be leading on this. So Dave was a 0. Here's Dave, he was a 0, so we've just switched him over. He's now a 1. And Alan was a 1, and we switched him over to a 0, which means he's now gone from being a tester to a developer. Okay. Else... Whoa, chill out, dude. You've only just joined us, you can't change careers. Fine. And we end the nested if statement, and then our outer if is if the career chain says no. Okay, because that's all you can put in, yes or no. Fine. So that's looks a little bit complicated at first view, but that's a nested if. Nested ifs. Nesting ifs more than 2 deep, I wouldn't if I were you. Just leave it like that. There's enough going in here. If you end up adding more than 2 or 3 lines of script lines in, each of these conditions, ooh, you're going to get well confused. We're already seeing quite a bit of interesting stuff going on here. I mean, if you look at, if you were to use this and calling methods on strings, interpolation, assignment, right, of local variables from values in arrays, and calling in local array values, I think there's enough going on in those lines there not to add too many of them. So now we'll check if the user has done a day's work. Always a good thing. Right, so let's see then. What have we got? So local variable, hours worked is 0. Fine, just one of those local variables that you set to a baseline value. User record. Okay, another array. User first name, user last name, user role. Okay, all local variables and a constant. Fine, user age. Interesting. So there's no values in here directly in the same way that we did here. What we've done now is to put values in that are from within the program, that have been defined within the program. So we knew what the placeholder was going to be called, but we didn't know what the value was. Well, that's okay, because we've run the program. We've now got a value for each of these. So a slightly different way of doing it. And here we go into, oh, hang on, we're going to a while. So let's put here, video video 13, okay. So while hours worked is less than 8, okay, 8-hour working day, do this stuff. Put, how many hours have you now worked? Use the first name, and a little helper text, enter 0 to 8. Good, okay, enter 0 to 8. Total hours worked is hours worked. Okay, so we start at 0, we do the while statement while hours worked is less than 8, so it's 0, so that's fine. How many hours have you worked? Total hours worked is now hours worked. Right. So hours worked, okay, so this is just text. So hours worked, well, you should actually say, sorry, that's slightly confusing. So far, should we say, would be 0 at this point. So hours worked equals hours worked plus gets chomped to I. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we've already snuck it in there to turn the value that's incoming from here. Oh, no, hang on. From here, in fact, sorry, to an integer. Right. So hours worked is now whatever hours worked was plus whatever's been input. Bingo. So hours worked. Here we go. So this now is actually part 13. Ooh, confusing. Video 13. Unlucky for some, which means when we run this code it won't work. So hours worked less than 8, it says. If it's less than 8, puts keep going, the day's not over. And the negative is well done, go home and relax. Oh, okay, I already put video 13 there. That's fine. Beep. Let's go to that. I see. And then we end. We end what exactly? We end the while. But while hours worked is less than 8, keep asking. Okay, a construed example to see the while working. So they come back to the timesheet. Hey, how many hours have you done now? 3. Oh, okay, it's less than 8. Oh, no, hang on, less than 8. Is it less than 8? True, so this is the true. Keep going. So they go around again. How many have you done now? Another 3. Okay, keep going. 5 more. You crazy, go home. Because it evaluates to false, because hours work would not be less than 8. Right. So user record. Interesting. User record, which is the not variable, the array. Dot push. Dot push. This was in video 14, remember? Push pop, shift, unshift. So user record dot push. Push, 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 push. Hours worked. Push pop, shift, unshift. Where did that go? Well, let's just print user record and see. Great. So there is a worked example of all of the stuff in the video. Why don't we go crazy and run it a few times. Okay, so we need to make some saves there. Okay, we've saved that down. Let's go and wait, hang on. Let's make sure we get the right one. Which step was it in? Hash. Well, that's a badly named file, isn't it? I've obviously reused a file here. Don't worry about that. I will put this file up on the website, and so you can copy it down. I'll put a link in the video and on the blog post. So let's run. Okay, welcome. What's your first name? Let's go for Dave. Hi Dave, what's your surname? Let's do something crazy like... Oh, now let's make it more difficult. Banana. Dave, how old are you? I am 100 years old. Username is Dave Banana. Oh, interesting. Okay, so Dave is now all uppercase. Banana has been capitalized correctly. Very nice. And it says Dave, should be a comma. You are 100-year-old developer. Am I indeed? So, if or when the user first name is Dave, capitalize my first name, URA, user age, okay, year old, roles array 0, developer. Oh, okay, that seems to work. Do you want to change your career? Yeah, I do. Okay, Dave, you are now a tester. The very thought. That's interesting. Got a little problem there. We might want to fix that. How many more hours have you now worked, Dave? Enter 0 to 8. Total hours? Oh dear. Total hours worked so far? 0. Okay. I have worked 4. In which case, I should be asked again because hours worked is less than 8. And it should say something like, keep going. Yeah, keep going. The day's not over. How many have you worked now? 3. Ooh, okay. So 7, nice boundary value check there, it's fine. Keep going, the day's not over. In fact, I lied, the boundary value would be 1. Well done, Dave. Go home and relax. Dave, Banana Tester 108. Yes, because the final thing this program does for us is to put the user record out. Aha, so I've just remembered that push pushes a new value on the end. So we have just pushed hours worked onto the end of our array. Yay! Okay. Let's try running that again, and we will go with a name that isn't in any of those case statements. Hi Mark, what's your surname? Crowder. Your name is Mark. You must be a new member of staff. Aha, because I was not in... Oh, no, that's the... Here it is. So if when it's not Dave, when Dave, when Alan, else, if it's somebody else, go, you must be a new member of staff, welcome. Do you want to change your career? And I shouldn't be allowed, should I? This program should say, Dave, Alan can change careers, anybody else cannot. So I will say, yeah, let's go for it. In fact, I used Y before, so let's use yes. I think this will break. Oh, no, I could do lowercase yes, because I've got this here. Okay, yes. Easy, Mark, you just joined us. How many have you worked? Okay, I have worked 9 hours. Boom. Well done, Mark. Go home and relax. Interesting, because it's going to print the 2 values in the roles, what was it called? Oh, no, sorry, user record and user first name, last name. User role is not defined, but user age is. There looks like there's a problem there, doesn't it? Because it prints my first name, prints my last name, and the hours worked. Role, that's fine, that doesn't go in there, because I haven't got a role yet. So that's interesting, there's a bug there. See if you can fix that bug. I should see Mark Crowther, space 9. Okay. That is a walkthrough. Have a look at this script and put something together yourself using all of the components that we've explored in these 14 videos. Read through them, just do them in a sequential way. Sorry, watch through them, just do them in a reasonably sequential way, as I have done here. And on the blog post it's probably easier. Send me a link to what you've done. Let's have a look at it. Alrighty. Hope that was an interesting code review. I look forward to seeing you in our exciting new set of videos, which are currently in the Basics 2 set, are these, where we shall learn some more and then do another Basics wrap up. Perhaps we'll elaborate on where this program is going and do a bit of refactoring. Okay all, thanks for watching, see you in the next video.